right, welcome everybody. Oh, we got the wrong son of a bitch. Why are you on the screen? Ignore that. Hang on just a second. We didn't get that updated. We still got the KU. We got the KU graphics on the screen here. Just ignore that. All right, Arkansas gets the dub. Big confidence booster for the offense. I don't know about you guys, but that was very impressive from an offensive standpoint. Still have things they need to work on, for sure. No doubt about that. Hang on, let's just fix this really quick. Hang on, give me a second. Make sure you guys like, share, subscribe, if you would. If you would be so kind. Check out all the links provided for you down below, including the sponsors, Direct Service Overhead, the Garage Door Company. They offer same-day services, quality parts, and affordable outcomes. So, again, their link is provided for you down below. And, again, if you're watching on – well, hold on. We got to get Arkansas Sports Network up here. Let's get them up. Let's get ASN rolling. Here we go. ASN should be up in 3, 2, 1, maybe. There it is. It's up. ASN's up. Okay. So, all right. Feel free to answer the poll. We got a poll up. And we've also got a Q&A. But here's the poll. Arkansas that much improved, or Mississippi State just a really bad team? And then the Q&A, which we've never done that before, we're doing it for the first time. Will Arkansas get an upset along the way? That is the Q&A. You could take that. I've never actually done this before, so I guess there's like a question screen. I'm not really sure. Let's get this graphic fixed. Hang on. At the very least, we just want it to say Arkansas versus MSU. Reaction. There we go. We'll just put this up on the screen. Up on the screen. So you guys, again, take the poll. Tell me what you think. There's still a lot of takes here, despite the fact, or I have several takes on what we just witnessed. A lot of it, obviously good. Arkansas's offense completely dialed in. It felt like they just scored it. It felt very, very similar to UAPB. I mean, it did. They scored on every drive but one in the opening half. Fantastic football in the first half for the most part. Again, they did make some mistakes. There were some problems along the way. There we go. Did that change it? There it is. We're just going to put Arkansas versus Mississippi State reaction. There we go. There certainly were some mistakes in the first half. Defense got gashed in both the first and second half, but mostly I felt like mostly this team, Arkansas was just dialed in. The offense wanted to take out some aggression maybe. I don't know. If you're watching on Arkansas Sports Network on Facebook, make sure you guys like, share, follow, all that stuff on Facebook. And feel free to come on over to Tusk Talk with Ty YouTube. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. The poll is up. Arkansas that much improved, or Mississippi State just a really bad team? So right now it's actually Mississippi State a really bad team in second place. I thought that would be like dead last. We got a ways to go, but make sure you take that poll. A bit of both is way out in front, though. 46% at the moment. All right. We'll get to the numbers here in just a second. The only problem I have with this screen is that I can't read half of chat, so this is going to suck. Hoyt Allen says, happy Saturday, Ty. Great win for the team. Hope we had no injuries on to the next one. Yeah, Braylon Russell, I think, just cramped up. Now, I've seen guys pull hammies. Typically, yeah, they hit the ground pretty quick. I felt like he's a big dude. His momentum, I think if it was a pulled hamstring, it would have been a lot more severe. He was up, running around. I think it was a cramp. But out of precaution, they did not play him again. Arkansas defense needs to work on them screen passes out in the flat. Yeah, I think several of those were just out of the RPO. Probably also by design, too, to just throw outside in the flats, but you're not wrong. Arky56, a.k.a. Pops, Happy Saturday, Ty. Did we get fool's gold again today, or did we just turn the corner? That's another good way of putting it, Todd. That's a good question. Logan Muir, happy for the win. Sloppy at times, but hopefully this gives the team confidence moving forward. What a weekend, though. I mean, listen, we can sit here and make up all kinds of excuses, right? Mississippi State banged up on the defensive line. I think they had I think, and I didn't know this going into it. I must have missed that on the injury report, that they had 3 missing defensive linemen, but they were bad anyways. Again, this is even with their starters, this is one of the worst run defenses in the country. We knew that Arkansas was probably going to have a little bit of success running the ball, and they had a lot of success running the ball. Appreciate the retweet, Philip. I see you on Twitter giving the retweet. Thank you. Appreciate that, man. Make sure you guys, again, like, share, subscribe if you're new. Arkansas versus Vandy is the best game that won't happen this year, says Marcus Murdoch. That's actually pretty funny. You're not wrong. There are some big games. You got SMU at Duke tonight. That could be a fascinating matchup, and I know it's outside the SEC, but number 22 SMU, 6-1, 3-0 in conference play on the road against the Duke Blue Devils. Duke this year has not lost at home. They have not lost at home, but they are 2-1 in conference play. They're only lost to Georgia Tech. So that's going to be an interesting game. I mean, I would pick SMU, but Duke, watch out. I mean, who knows? We got a super chat. John Haw, someone bring me a bowl of mashed potatoes. Oh, God. Can we, that is the oldest shit. It's so old. What is that, 5 years old? Why do we keep bringing that up? Just one time with a plate of mashed potatoes, and then that's just what you are forever. Oh, wait, you're talking about the guy on Twitter. Never mind. Hold up. That would be a great game. I agree. What's up, Jaeger? How you doing, man? What is that? What is that in reference to? I'm new to hog lore. Some guy at an Arkansas tailgate. You just have to go look it up. Just go look up Arkansas mashed potatoes. Russell had a game. Makes you question why he's not playing in tandem with JJ earlier in the season. We might have a healthy Jaquindon Jackson if that was the case. This is transplanted Texan. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, listen, he's a freshman. And there's something to be said about not really knowing what you have until a freshman hits the field. Because that's the truth. You don't really know what you have until a freshman hits the field. You don't know what you have. But in practice, he did look good. We saw it in scrimmage. But even with a scrimmage, you got to take with a grain of salt. And that's both good and bad. We were saying this, though, Ty, just depends on which Arkansas team shows up. Yeah. Eagle says, well, Braylon Russell's a true freshman. Hard to know if he would have done good early. Yeah, I mean, that's fair. I don't have a problem with if you go back again. We talk about Darren McFadden's freshman year. They didn't know they had a 2-time Heisman candidate on their hands. They knew he was good. They knew DMAC was special. Okay, I remember reading the paper. I remember listening to the media and the call-in shows, the radio shows back then. I listened to it all. Back then you had it was back in the early days before Twitter, and you had these rivals message boards and all that. Yeah, everyone knew, this dude's going to be good. He was an athlete, played both ways in high school, and he's going to be a really good player. Had no idea what they had, and he didn't get the majority of carries because you had Darius Howard. This is very similar, is it not? Upperclassman. I think Howard was he a senior, junior? I don't know. He was an upperclassman. They didn't know, and of course you've got the other running backs to factor into that as well. Very similar situation. Very similar situation. You got an upperclassman in Jaquindon Jackson. He gets a little banged up, and then Braylon Russell has the kind of game that he has. So I would just say I'm kind of drawing the comparisons here just a little bit. Again, if you're in Discord, tell those knuckleheads to get in here. Ty, what's up with the defense? We got gashed again. I've told you I don't think the defense is as perfect as a lot of people would have you believe. However, Mississippi State hung in within 10 points against Georgia and Texas A&M. They did a great job of containing I mean, Mississippi State had just 10 points in the first half and 15 in the second half. I mean, you're fine with that, especially if your offense could put up, 58 points. But they did get gashed. The defense isn't perfect. They're missing some guys. The secondary, well, I say guys, they're missing, let's be real, Jalen Braxton. I don't know where our boy Cody went. I think it was Cody, right, that was telling us that Braxton's not that big of a loss. I beg to differ. But, it was listen to this, though. Michael Van Buren was pressured quite a bit today. Not every snap, but he was pressured quite a bit. I'm going to be really fascinated to see that report tomorrow, what his pressures were from PFF. But Michael Van Buren was 22 of 31 for 309 yards. Now, they did throw a couple of picks. But, by the way, Hudson Clark quietly kind of had a decent game. I don't know that I saw him get scorched. I thought he looked pretty good. Yeah, I mean, you can't complain too much about the defense, but they're not perfect. T. Will is doing the best with what he's got. I am loving Ian Jaffrard up front. I am loving him. Like he's just a gap filler type guy. He's going to clog up gaps. He might even draw double teams because of his size and strength. I mean, he's a redshirt freshman. He's getting time out on the field. He's not just a guy that's going to get maybe a snap a game. He's getting some reps. He's getting some time out on the field. So the depth at that defensive line, I'm starting to feel a little bit better about. We saw Matiel Soli play. Obviously, your usual suspects, Cam Ball and Gregory. It's good to know that it feels like they've got some pieces there. Now, Mississippi State, that whole offensive line was bad. They did not play very well at all. So we're going to go over their numbers here in just a second. Again, we got some super chats. Hang on, let me read them. State is last year's Hogs. Play close road games against good teams and then get blown out against meh teams at home like Auburn for us last year, says Tercer. All right, that's quite the positive take. Excuse my language, Mississippi State has only one win and is absolute dog shit, says Cameron Gray. Boy, y'all are just a ray of sunshine. Listen, you took care of business against Mississippi State, a team that I don't care where they did it at. They were I would argue that playing well on the road is probably a pretty good sign that you're not trash every game. If it's Texas A&M and Georgia that you're only losing by 10 within. Overall, they're horrible. Overall, they're not a good football team. I get that. State had 367 yards against A&M and 385 against Georgia. Their offense isn't shabby at all. Yeah, those aren't bad numbers. I will tell you though today, Kerper, in this era, that's kind of like vanilla though. It really is. Like I can remember a time when anything above like 350 yards was great. It's just not the case anymore. Football's changed, and especially this offense that they run. They're going to get yards. They're going to get points. But they're not horrible on offense. They're slowly figuring things out. But they're not a good football team. And then on top of that, they are banged up. But I was impressed with what I saw. For the most part, from Arkansas, especially on the offensive side of the ball. Kevin Coleman for them was, and we said it, and we talked about it in Discord. We talked about it in the Enemy Insider. You got to watch out for Kevin Coleman. This dude can play. He had 8 catches for 100 yards. Troy Orr had 5 catches, 77 yards. There were some controversial reviews, and I don't know. I'd have to go back and rewatch them. I would. I didn't get a chance to catch both of the replays. I'm sure Mississippi State fans are furious about those. The 15 fans that stuck around and maybe the 25 fans that watched that game. They're out. They're out on their Bulldogs. They're 0-4 in conference play, 1-6 overall. I mean, they are trash. Mississippi State is not a good football team. But, again, we've seen Sam Pittman coach teams struggle against teams like this before, though. Now, I don't know about teams this bad. They're really bad. I mean, they might be – I don't think they're that far. I'm not going to say they're UAPB bad, but, man, they're – golly, they need a lot of help. Oh, okay. They're tagging me in Discord about the guy with the taters. Yeah. You guys can go find that. That's fine. Okay, I'm not saying they're amazing at offense, but they like to put up a fight. Yeah, they're scrappy. They'll hang around. All right, Michael Van Buren. Let's go over these numbers. Let's go over the stats here. Michael Van Buren, 22 of 31, 309 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 picks. Devon Booth had a couple really good runs. Of course, the long one, the 38-yarder, but they kept him out of the end zone. Michael Van Buren had the only rushing touchdown for Mississippi State. He had all 3 of their touchdowns. He actually, like Michael Van Buren, you feel for the guy. If he had a little bit more talent around him, Mississippi State would be a lot better, especially, from a rushing standpoint, it would help their game out a lot if they had some ballers. They just don't. They're very vanilla across the entire landscape. Johnny Daniels, 11 carries, 42 yards. Again, Booth, 17, 93 yards. You can't take away the 2 big runs, but if you did, you're talking about holding this guy below about 3 yards a carry. But he ends up with 5.5 yards. Xavier Gayton had 2 carries for 28 yards for them. And then Chris Parson, who checked in, 3 carries for 4 yards. Kevin Coleman, 8 catches, 100 yards and a touchdown. Seydou Traore, 5 catches, 77 yards. And then a whole bunch of guys with 1 catch. I'm not going to go over all of them, but they ended up with, again, 309 yards off of 22 receptions. So, defensively for them, I mean, who cares? They were horrible. Stone Blanton ended up with the most tackles, 10 tackles for him. Not a single sack. Not a single sack for Mississippi State. Arkansas, now again, someone in Discord was, talking about Kudus. I think Kudus played pretty damn good. And I agree that it would have been nice to have him several weeks ago, but that's not the way it worked out. Coming out of a bye week, we kind of thought maybe there's a shot we're going to get him to play 100%. Maybe the offense would be fine. Listen, sometimes you got to take advantage of the moments that you're given. Mississippi State handed you several. They handed you quite the advantage when you have all these injuries up front on the defensive line. So it maybe made Kudus look a little bit better, And again, when you talk about confidence, you love that. Nick Mitchell, by the way, had the interception for 21 yards for them. So Kudus is going to be a big part of that offensive line, and you feel a little bit better because you had guys that were not really considered to get a whole bunch of snaps this year get some opportunities because of Kudus's absence. But again, I still don't think you're definitely not too deep across the offensive line. In fact, you're in such a rough situation as far as quality depth. You've got at least one guy that's considered a backup at about 2 to 3 different spots across the offensive line. That usually tells you something. So, Arkansas, Taylon Green goes 23 of 29, 314 yards, 5 passing touchdowns. That ties his career high. He did that once at Boise State. The 1 interception, I really want to rewatch that. I don't know. Let's just say it felt like Mississippi State kind of, the ball was deflected, and that's how they got. And I feel like that's happened to Green a couple times this year. But 5 touchdowns, 1 pick for Taylon Green. Overall, he was fantastic. It sucks because that interception's like a little bit of a smear or a smudge. It's like, damn. They're still putting the ball on the ground too much. I'll say that, even if they didn't all bounce in Mississippi State's favor. But Braylon Russell, 16 carries. It was the Braylon Russell show. We called it, baby. We called it. That was the thumbnail, the Braylon Russell show. 16 carries, 175 yards, no touchdowns. He had a 75-yarder. That's the run where he excuse me, throat's dry. That was the run where he cramped up. I think it was a cramp. Let's hope that's all it was. Everyone averaged 9 yards a carry against this defense. Everyone. DeBinion, 8.9. All right, we're splitting hairs. Whatever. 11 carries, 98 yards. Taylon Green, almost 400 total yards of offense. 8 carries, 79 yards. Him and DeBinion had the only 2 rushing touchdowns. Again, Green, 6 total touchdowns. 6 total touchdowns and 1 turnover. You're going to take that. Almost 400 total yards of offense. Andrew Armstrong, 4 catches, 76 yards. Another game where he's where he is the guy on the field between him and Luke Has. He's the guy on the field. No touchdowns. However, Luke has 4 catches, I think all 4 of his targets, maybe 4 out of 5, 59 yards and 2 touchdowns. Jordan Anthony made an appearance. Only one in terms of receptions, 1 catch, 27 yards, and a touchdown. Rashard Dubiny caught the ball 3 times out of the backfield. Running backs combined for, 4 catches. Tight ends, 7 for 4 touchdowns. We've said it all year. This is the deepest part of this roster. Why are they not a bigger part of the offense? And they were today. My father-in-law texted me and he said, "Oh, look, we do have tight ends. We weren't wrong." Isaiah Santana, 2 catches, 16 yards. So yeah, Tyrone Broden, 2 catches, 33 yards. Arkansas put the ball on the field or on the ground 3 times. They didn't lose any of them. They're still just careless with the ball. Like, this really could have been another turnover heavy game for Arkansas. Those could have been real momentum killers. And we've seen 1 or 2 of those things happen where it completely flips the game. And you go back to Oklahoma State, Arkansas does have a reputation in the second half, not coming out on fire. Mississippi State came back in the second half. They scored 15 points in the third quarter, and we were thinking, oh, boy, here we go. Are they going to mount some kind of a comeback? But Arkansas's offense had something to say. And for the most part, the defense kind of answered back there. And, of course, the turnovers, the silly turnovers by Mississippi State. You had the fumble at the goal line for them. Boy, how K.J. Jefferson was that? How about Shipley? 3 for 3. 3 for 3 kicking field goals. Even though the longest was only 32 yards, he was 7 for 7 on extra points. Do you feel better about your kicker now? I don't know. The guy has a 51-yarder under his belt, and now he's 3 for 3 this week. Devin Bell punted the ball just 1 time. Of course it went for 53 yards. That's what the guy does. Defense, Brad Spence snuck up on Sorey and ends up taking the lead for having maybe the best game from a defender. He had 2 tackles for loss, a sack, 11 tackles total. Xavier Sorey had 11 tackles, a pass breakup. Jaden Johnson had 8 tackles and a sack with a pass breakup and a TFL. Oh, buddy. Twice in one weekend? Is it possible? Is it possible? Oh, my gosh. Let me put this down on the desk. Golly. We gotta name our who gets the gold chain. The post-game gold chain. Who gets it? Who gets it? Peanut Butter Posse, Vandy proving themselves again. When are we going to stop counting them out? Yeah, let's look at the scores here really quick before we go putting on the chain. Oregon right now on top of Illinois, 21-3. BYU on top of UCF. Y'all BYU, and I know UCF's not good. I get that, but 16-0 now. They just scored. Alabama on top of Mizzou in the second quarter, 3-0. 11:42 left to go there. Texas trailing Vanderbilt 7-0. It's really early. 8 minutes to go in the first quarter. And then, of course, later tonight, LSU, Texas A&M. Boy, how far has Kansas fallen this year? Definitely, I didn't think they would start off 2-5 in their first 7. Kansas State 6-1. SMU and Duke's going to be an interesting game. Ohio State found a way against Nebraska. I don't know how that one concluded. I know that was there a controversial call. I know the Zebras got involved there late in the fourth quarter, but Ohio State did pull that one out 21-17. By the way, Navy got smoked. I've had a feeling they would lose this, but I really was pulling for Navy. Of course, I'm sure we all were. 51-14. Indiana 8-0 for the second time in school history, 31-17. Ole Miss beats Oklahoma 26-14. Oklahoma is finding out what the SEC is all about, as we tried telling the Big 12 for the last, I don't know, ever since the Big 12 formed. I don't know. You're nothing. You're shit to the SEC. Come and find out. Well, they're finding out. God, I hope Texas loses. God above, make it happen. Vanderbilt 5-2, 2-1. They are ranked 25th overall. Again, make sure you guys like, share, subscribe. Feel free to check out all the links provided for you down below. We've got a new initiative in Discord to try and push it more often. We're trying to add more members. Trying to get the traffic up in Discord a little bit. If you guys want to join that would be great. If you're a Patreon supporter, you need to really be there. We have a few people that are Patreon supporters that are not in Discord. That's where you need to be. There's Discord. Join it. Come be a part of it. Taylon Green is the MVP, says Heartbroken Hog. You don't want to consider Braylon Russell? I mean, let's not kid ourselves. I think he would have scored on that big run. I mean, he just ran for 11 yards a carry, even when Mississippi State was trying to stack and load up and come after him. They couldn't slow him down. Maybe Brad Spence quietly should be in consideration. Xavier Sori had 11 tackles in the first half. I don't know where he went in the second half. Farrell Hogman says Russell is the MVP. Bob Magnet says Russell carried the load. Kelly Williams brings up a good point, the offensive line. You guys are good, but I'm a Kentucky fan, so I'm a Kentucky fan, so I have to live vicariously through Diego Pavia. Pavia is him, dude. Pavia is absolutely him. Timothy Long, love you, Ty. There's no E. There's no E, but I appreciate it. Thank you so much, Timothy. Thanks, man. This is the offensive line. Probably should be. I would say offensive line has to be in consideration. Absolutely. They carved the way. They protected Taylon Green. Offensive line under heavy consideration. You're good, Timothy. I just give people a hard time. Now that you say it, Russell probably does deserve it. If I had Haz or TG, but you changed my mind. I'm not trying to change anybody's mind if you're talking to me, Steven. But the offensive line was really good. The defensive line was mostly good. I mean, they definitely got gashed up a little bit. I wouldn't give this to anyone on the defense. I'm going to be real with you. I thought the defense, Mississippi State has figured things out a little bit on offense. They are playing better on offense, but it's not as if they gave up 162 yards on the ground. That's not great. 300 yards through the air. They got a couple picks, but I wouldn't give anyone on defense the chain today. Landon Jackson, I thought, was going to make a case, but then he, kind of didn't make much of an impact, especially the second half. Russell O-line, no one else is close as Brian Fraser. I don't know if no one else is close. Hold on. Whoa. No one else is close? Green had almost 400 yards of offense and 6 touchdowns. What are you talking about, Brian? What are you talking about? He had 79 yards on 8 carries. That's almost 10 yards a carry. He extended plays by running out of the pocket, finding guys open. I wouldn't say no one else is close. I disagree with that strongly. I don't care how good or bad Mississippi State defense is. You can say the same thing about the offensive line dealing with a busted up defensive line. You can say the same thing about Russell. That strip fumble in play 3. The turnovers were nice, takeaways were nice, but overall, I don't know. Well, I didn't hear anyone else mention TG isn't as good as Singleton. I think Mike is clowning. I think he's just clowning. Did the passing game open up the running game, or was it the other way out? Well, I think they both benefited from one another. All right. Gold chain. This is actually tricky. Because part of me does want to give it to the offensive line. It really does. The more you think about it, this doesn't happen today without their dominance. Again, but I want to get away from giving it to just a coach or to an offensive line. We haven't given it to just an individual in a post-game football game. But what? Maybe twice this year. No. Hold on. I'm going to have to go back and look. But Braylon Russell, 16 carries, 175 yards for 10.9 yards a carry. It's really impressive. Really impressive. You can't – this is a tough one, actually. The more you think about it, this is damn hard. Kind of makes me wish I had – I do have 2 gold chains, but I'm not – I'm going to do the one. Damn. Maybe we should have done a poll. Who the hell gets it? What about the tight ends? The tight ends, 7 catches, 4 touchdowns today. Why aren't they in consideration, guys? I can't overlook 6 total touchdowns, almost 400 total yards. I'm going to give it to Green. Green was I'm going to give it to Green. Russell is basically 1B, and Green is 1A. Green, you can't overlook 6 touchdowns, almost 400 total yards of offense, 10 yards a carry. I mean, the guy just balled out of his mind. Was mostly on point today. I think he's going to grade out pretty well. I don't really care, but I mean, from what I saw, I liked Green. I thought Green should get it. It's really hard to overlook. I don't care how good or bad the opponent is. Really hard to overlook doing what he did today on the road in an SEC environment with those stupid-ass cowbells, until they left after the first quarter. That's hard to overlook. 23 of 29, just 6 incompletions. Just very impressive. I thought Green was impressive, mostly on point with his throws, way more accurate over the weeks. I think he finally deserves it. I think he deserves the gold chain, so I'm going with Green. Steven says, yeah, TG was the general today. Absolutely. He prolonged all their drives, was fantastic. Another thing to look at, too, for when you look at Arkansas drive by drive, they didn't do as well. If ESPN would pull up here, they didn't do as well on third down today. That was really the only. They went 0 for 7. And Mississippi State is one of the worst third down defenses in the SEC. One of the worst third down defenses, if I remember right, in the country. And Arkansas went 0 for 7 on third down. You're talking about a top 12. Top 10, top 12, somewhere in there, third down offense, and they went 0 for 7. But then they go 2 for 2 on fourth down. 673 total yards of offense for Arkansas, 359 yards on the ground, 7 penalties for 70 yards, just 4 for 48 for Mississippi State. Arkansas turned the ball over once. Mississippi State did turn the ball over 5 times. I think some of that, half those turnovers were just silly mistakes by Mississippi State. But you got to give credit where credit's due. Defense did get those turnovers. But no individual on the defensive side of the ball would I put in the top 3. You can make a case for top 5 if we're talking about who deserves the gold chain. Another thing, too, that should stand out is how often Arkansas scored. I mean, in the opening half, they scored every drive but one. Every single drive but one. And on the day, let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So they scored on 10 of 13 drives. Is that right? If you count the end of game, 10 of 13 drives. I mean, that's pretty damn close to what they did to UAPB. And who would have thought they would do that in conference play? It's pretty impressive. So yeah, congrats to Taylor Green. He was it. Mike and them says Green is getting into the sweet spot. If knowing Bobby Petrino's offense, he's getting more and more comfortable. I don't think there's any doubt that he's getting very comfortable within this offense. I mean, he's when you give him time, he's thrown, what was it? I heard him talk about it on the broadcast that he's throwing something north of like 70% in the last 3 games combined. He's feeling it. And if they can continue to make these adjustments up front on the offensive line, sliding guys around, finding the sweet spot, giving him time, giving him a clean pocket Taylon Green's going to be a problem. And what did they do today that we've been begging them to do for the last several weeks? Get him back in the rushing game. Get Taylon Green back in the rushing game. And this offense, if you get him going, it's just going to open things up for them on the passing side of things. And that is exactly what happened today. They got both his arm and his feet going. Again, it does help that it was Mississippi State. Absolutely. Absolutely. 75% says Brian. Was it 75? That's insane. That's really good. Because that's also all SEC. That's all SEC games. Quite impressive. Yummy stat sheet today, boys and girls. Mm-hmm. TG was more comfortable in the pocket today, too. Instead of rolling out at times, they gave him time in the pocket. He was surveying the defense. That was also, I mean, he wasn't just giving up on his, he was looking, he was watching the field. Yeah, Kate, I know that they didn't want him to run against LSU. But if that's the case, you're taking away a lot of what he does well. And you can argue that you're extremely limited if all you do is throw the ball with him. I mean, I'm just going to say, if the game plan is let's just let Green sit back in the pocket and throw all day. Now, yeah, it'll work against teams like Mississippi State, but teams like LSU will chew that up. And Kate, you saw how that went down. So injuries are a part of football. They just are. I know they wanted to take it easy with him against LSU, but that severely limited him. I think 100%. I realize he wasn't 100%, but 100% Taylon Green with a game plan and an idea of using his feet, using his legs. It's a far better one. Your possibility of success is far higher, Kate. So again, you've severely limited yourself against LSU when all you wanted him to do was sit back in the pocket and throw the ball. Now, to be fair, it worked for the most part against Tennessee. However, it's not like you went out and you scored a bunch of points either. Your defense really held things together in that matchup. But if you go back everywhere else for Arkansas this year, you're seeing Arkansas, when he runs the ball, they're far more successful. They're going to eat up yards, and they're going to score points. Hey, how about this, though? It's really nice that Arkansas finally found a way to score a bunch of points in SEC play, right? What did we talk about, too? We said Arkansas's averaging 17 points a game in conference play. Well, now, today, you just scored 58 points. That's what you did. By the way, Arkansas also 9 for 9 in the red zone. 51 of your 58 points came from within the red zone. For 7 on third down is not pretty. 7 penalties for 70 yards is not pretty. The amount of times I saw that ball squirt out onto the field was not great. 3 times. 3 times. Then there was the time DeBinion was running towards the sidelines, and he fumbled the ball out of bounds. Now, I think they actually said that he was out of bounds before the ball came loose, but you can't do that. Time of possession, 31 minutes, 15 seconds for Arkansas, 28-45. So, again, this was not an example of Arkansas just sitting on the ball, eating up clock. Like, they just went down the field and scored over and over and over again. Golly, it felt good. Net total yards, again, 673 total yards of offense for Arkansas. That's EA college football numbers, man. That's EA college football 2-5 numbers against an SEC opponent. That's insane. 9 for 9 in the red zone against an SEC opponent on the road is insane. What was it? What did we say? 10 of 13 of their drives? Or was it 12? 10 of 12? They're scoring on every drive. This is how you do it. Now, we know it's not going to come easy. Arkansas now has to deal with Ole Miss on November 2nd. That's going to be an 11 a.m. or 11:45 kickoff again. I know it sucks. You're going to get that again against Louisiana Tech. I have a feeling that you're not going to get another night game this year. I think that's over with. That sucks. It'd be nice to see Louisiana Tech in the evening, but it's probably not going to happen. Would love to see Ole Miss under the lights. Would love to see Jackson Dart have to deal with that crowd. 11 a.m. or 11:45 kickoff, November 2nd against Arkansas. Ole Miss, last I looked, was heavily the favorite. Oregon on top of Illinois, by the way, 28-3 now. Golly. Still 3-0 Alabama, 5:50 left to go in the first half. Ultimate Gaming. So do you see Russell getting more carries to take some of the workload off Jackson? Yeah. I do. Absolutely. Hey, Kelly, Kate Dryer, when I make a point, I drive that son of a bitch home. I'm driving that point home, baby. Chris Floyd, well, considering Green was not great before coming here, I'd like to see the building of a young quarterback. 9 games into the season, and we praise Green for a great game against the worst team in the SEC. Chris, what more do you want from the guy? He went out there, had 400 total yards of offense, 6 touchdowns, and you're complaining? You're complaining that you're not paying attention to what he's done over the weeks. His passing has improved. What I said earlier, when you get his legs involved, you're preparing for a different team. When Green establishes the run, when Green's able to run the football, he's a problem and the offense just opens up. You can't deny accuracy no matter who you're playing against. His ball placement was much better. Green got rid of the ball very quick today. I'm only a fan working for a living. But he looked like he was releasing to the first open rather than looking for something better. No, I disagree. I disagree with that, Kelly. Not every snap was like that. I thought he did a really good job surveying the field, which is why he targeted 8 different receivers in this game. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 different players caught the ball. No, I disagree. I think he did a better job. Does he at times go to his first read? But if it's there, it's there. I mean, he averaged 11 yards per completion, which means when he's letting go of the ball, there's a first down. When he's letting go of the ball and it falls or it's complete, that's a first down. I disagree. I think he's finding the guy and he's getting the ball to him. By the way, you threw the ball for 314 yards, and it wasn't just simply targeting Andrew Armstrong. He had 4 catches for 76 yards. Meanwhile, Luke Haz had 4 for 59, 2 touchdowns. Teslaw's getting a little bit more action, 3 grabs, 51 yards. Both tight ends, 7 catches. So I'm not saying that he doesn't do that a lot. He does. I mean, he makes a read and he throws it, but I think for the most part, he's throwing to the guy that's open, and I did see his helmet move. I was watching him. He surveyed the field. He did a much better job. He's not just locking up. Now, in the past, I agree. I think he was looking for Andrew Armstrong a lot, but to be fair, why wouldn't you? Andrew Armstrong's catching like 75% of his throws. When he's targeted, his catch number is really high. And he's not going to drop the ball either. So, yeah, I mean, sometimes that's just simply the fact of the situation. When you've got Broden dropping the ball as much as he does, other guys have dropped the ball this year. Centennia has a couple drops on the year. Drops happen, but sometimes as a quarterback, you trust one target, and that's going to be the guy that racks up the numbers. That's going to be the guy. I mean, if any of you pay attention to the NFL, it's the same. Sometimes you just rely on that one guy because he gets open a lot. Now, if you're the Rams and you've got a couple really stud receivers who are back, then you're going to be able to get it all over the field a little bit more. But that's why, I mean, you see them go empty set. It was not a guarantee today that he was going to go to number 2. How often have we said that this year? And again, there's a reason for that, but it's good that he's starting to trust these other receivers, and I think he is actually trying to survey the entire field, not every snap. Ultimate Gaming with the super chat. Hey, I appreciate that, man. Thank you. What is this? Get off my screen. Green likely has a few more years under. Well, no, he would only have 2. He's got 2 years of eligibility left. I don't know what this is on my screen. It's not letting me scroll my chat. Oh, my gosh. YouTube Studio. YouTube Studio is garbage. Arkansas, that much improved, or Mississippi State, just a really bad team. Right now, it's a bit of both, is leading the way at 42%. 32% of you say Hogs have improved. 28% of you say Mississippi State is just awful. And then there's a question, will Arkansas get an upset along the way? I don't know if anyone has answered that question. Here we go. Michael Thompson says yes. Do you think QB1 will play like that the rest of the year? Never say never, but he's not going to face another defense like that, maybe outside of Louisiana Tech. Not an SEC play, probably not, because you're about to play teams with far more talent. Brian Fraser says, can we look for teams to use it against us in the future? Screen passes. Wait, to use what? What do you mean? Little Joker, who's also a new Patreon supporter, by the way. I saw you, Little Joker. Welcome to Patreon. She's got Arkansas going 6-6. Now, the amount of receivers today he used helps us a lot in these next games. The field is spread instead of defense keying in on one guy. Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's why it's nice to have more than a couple of targets, right? That's why it's nice that you don't have to just throw the ball to Andrew Armstrong. Maybe someone else can kind of take the load off a little bit. The screen passes. Oh, you're talking about the screen passes against Arkansas. They were those that's where Mississippi State got a lot of yards. Arkansas, you saw them kind of slow that down a little bit, but I mean they did have 471 yards of offense, and it felt like half of that total offense happened with those screen plays, those outside screens out in the flats, for sure. Steven says 6-6 with a win over a top 5, really good Tennessee team. I'll take that. Fair. Aiden does games. Says Texas defense looking sus. What's going on with that game? I mean, they're up 14-7. Texas is up 14-7. Vanderbilt's good, y'all. Yeah, you got to give Pavia credit. Pavia's he's just a baller. He's a tough, old school football guy, and I love it. I love it. I'm glad Vanderbilt's ranked. Good for them. Maybe they can hang around, but listen, they've moved the ball on some really good teams this year. Vanderbilt is no longer a – let's just say Arkansas should be happy they don't have them. They don't have to deal with Vanderbilt this year. Here's a good question. Patrick Smith says or asks, can TG improve on today's game? What you do with this game is you build confidence. You build confidence off of what you just did. Now, that interception, he shook off. I don't know. I have seen where he starts off a game and he looks a little not great, right? And then he struggles to get guys in, to target receivers consistently. The ball being thrown maybe a little bit above or behind them, having trouble throwing them while they're in the middle of their route. Or throwing them, getting the ball out in front of them, so once they're in the middle of the route, they can just take the ball and run with it. We've seen him do that where he starts off a little not great, and it hurts I think it hurts his confidence a little bit. Maybe gets inside his head just a little bit. And today he shook that interception off, and I think for the most part played pretty well after the interception. Yeah. Again, a lot of scoring. It felt like just about every time Arkansas took the field, they were going to score. Very reminiscent of the first half against Oklahoma State. Very reminiscent of the first 6 quarters we saw Arkansas play this year. Mississippi State turned the ball over a lot, yeah. So Arkansas now 3-2. They're above 500 in conference play, 5-3 overall. Listen, you're still in the winning column. You've got games I think are within reach. It's just hard to really know. Like, you got Ole Miss coming up next, so we'll have to wait and see what happens there. Make sure you guys like, share, subscribe. Kelly Williams says, hard to believe folks can't say we improved. Wow, I don't think MSU was that good last year when we rolled an egg. That's a very good point. When we rolled an egg on homecoming, this year Mississippi State is hungry for a win. If we laid an egg again, we get an L. I mean, that's not a bad point, actually. This time last year, Arkansas walked into that game averaging 24 points a game, and you scored just 7 points. It's very similar this year where you're scoring less points in SEC. And again, we're talking about in SEC play. In SEC play, coming into this game, you're scoring less points per game. And you put up, I mean, that's the difference, right? And I know every year is different. Mississippi State's not the same team they were a year ago. I get that. But you rolled in and you scored 58 points. I don't believe Dan Enos could have done that, by the way. Jeremy Gray says, Ty, I was happy with the win and the way we did it for the most part. A win next week is paramount to show consistency. Win next week, and maybe Pittman can turn this around. So Arkansas has yet this year, not that you've had a lot of opportunities, but they have yet to win back-to-back SEC games, right? You beat Auburn, you turn around, you lose to A&M. It was a good game, by the way. A&M's a good team, and you lost that game 21-17. Then you turn around, you beat Tennessee 19-14, then you lose to LSU. You turn around now, you beat Mississippi State, and you got Ole Miss coming up. Let's hope that is not the trend, because that is exactly what's happening right now. It's win, lose, win, lose, win. So you luckily you have the next 2 games. These are big home games. It's exciting, man. Your next 3 games are all in Fayetteville. That's great. Boy, next year. Oh, my gosh. Oh, my gosh. Those road games next year are going to be brutal. It'd be nice to get some wins here you're not supposed to win. Obviously, right? I mean, imagine beating Ole Miss, and then you got Texas coming to town. Presumably a top 5, top 3 football team coming into town to play a ranked Arkansas team. Because I think you'd be ranked after if you beat Ole Miss, you'd be ranked. You would be ranked. If not, then maybe I will buy into your conspiracy theories. But Ole Miss win here would be huge. I do think Ole Miss is a better football team than Arkansas, but I just don't know how much. But you've got to play them at home. That's great news. I just wish it was a PM game. God bless it. Go Hogs. Get her done. Finish strong, says Kelly Williams. Great weekend for us fans, says Little Joker. Again, new Patreon supporter right there. If you guys want to join her in joining Patreon, I talk about it every week. Join it right there. There's the link. If it is the trend, you beat Texas. Touche. Would you be okay with that? Would you be okay with losing to Ole Miss but then beating Texas again? To win back-to-back games. Ill Will says, talk forever, Ty, stun the like. Appreciate you, man. Again, make sure you guys share the content. Wild West 70 says, Green had the deer in headlights look early on in the season. He's clearly understanding the Bobby Petrino offense better. Overall, pretty good execution today. I would say mostly, I would say great execution today. That interception, it looked like it was deflected. I don't know. And I think he's had a couple of those that were just deflected. Defense did do a good job. And I don't want anyone to get it twisted. I'm not saying what I said earlier about not giving any individual the gold chain. I did bring up some names, a couple of guys that played pretty well, and I was hoping Landon Jackson would make a case in the second half. Now, he did have an impact. He was still getting pressure. But don't get it twisted. Arkansas's defense forced some turnovers today. That was great. As a team on that side of the ball, that was really good. Despite giving up, almost 500 yards of offense and 25 points, that's still, man, I mean, listen, some really good teams have struggled to hold Mississippi State back offensively lately, and the defense responded. Some of those mistakes were on Mississippi State, the fumbles and whatnot, but the defense, listen, luck favors the prepared, and that's kind of how I looked at what happened today. It was nice to see them win a turnover battle. Yeah, you were +4 today in the turnover battle. How often does that happen? When Arkansas wins the turnover battle, they win games, period. You'd wish this was a 5-0 situation or a +5, not a +4, but +4 is nice because Arkansas is near the bottom of the country in the turnover ratio category. They're one of the worst because their defense hasn't gotten a lot of takeovers or takeaways, and their offense is giving the ball away far too much. But don't get it twisted. I'm not saying the defense didn't play their asses off. They got gashed a little bit. Missed tackles all over the field, and I'm talking everybody had missed tackles today. They looked a little, like discipline-wise, I think they got, 5 of the 7 penalties? Was that right? They got 5 of those 7 penalties. It might have been 4, but, some just mental errors, mental mistakes. You had Broden on offense, not lined up, not on the line of scrimmage. So that was a mental error on the offense from Broden. Yeah, he did have one. I mean, yeah, you're not wrong. He had one other pass, Brian, that was towards the sidelines. It was a throw that I criticized in the halftime show in Discord. Ty, I'm curious to see the snap count for the offensive line and who played where. I saw some shuffling. Yeah, I'm always interested in that too. So we'll cover that for sure. I'll start looking that up tomorrow. Monday will be fascinating. We'll take a look at that. What a weekend for Arkansas, though. What a weekend. Little Joker brought it up. She's right. What a great weekend for Arkansas fans. You had to be thrilled about what you saw this weekend, especially with basketball, huh? Hudson Clark with an interception and a fumble recovery. Give him the Heisman. That's true. That's true. He did have the fumble recovery, didn't we? So maybe we'd put Hudson Clark in that category. I think we would have to put Hudson Clark. But I do think he missed at least a tackle, and I'm not sure. Yeah, he had 2 tackles on the day, so a little on the low end there. He had the interception, and he did have the fumble recovery. Did they give him the fumble recovery? They did, right? So there we go. I got corrected in real time. You're right. Maybe Hudson Clark should have been. I still wouldn't have put him there. I still would have put either Green or Russell or the offensive line ahead of him. But we'll add Russell to the top 5. Or excuse me, not Russell. I mean Hudson Clark. He got that fumble, did he not? Hold on. Why are they not pulling him up on the? He's not, for whatever reason, I'm not seeing him on the turnover list. Huh. Jaden Johnson had 8 tackles and a forced fumble. Cameron Ball they don't have with a. They've got Switzer with a forced fumble, and they've got Landon Jackson with 1 forced fumble, and he had a sack too, by the way. Close. Jackson, like I said earlier, close to being on that list. I don't know why I'm not pulling up the takeaway, who had the fumble recovery. It's not pulling up anywhere. Well, anyways, we'll worry about that later. We'll talk about that on Monday. So, yeah, I do appreciate you guys. Make sure you're on your way out. Like, share, subscribe. Shout out to Direct Service Overhead, the Garage Door Company. Same-day services, quality parts, affordable outcomes. Better than best results. Give them a call today at 501-244-3667. Again, that's Direct Service Overhead, the Garage Door Company. Make sure I got all the fan chats. Yeah, I got them all. The questions, we had a few people answer the question. The poll, Arkansas that much improved or Mississippi State is just a really bad team. Mississippi State is awful, came in dead last at 28%. I mean, they are bad. But I would agree with a bit of both. A bit of both got 39%. Hogs have improved is at 33%. I think it was definitely a bit of both. I'm kind of surprised that number is actually not higher. But, yeah. All right. So I will see you guys next week. Make sure you hit the notification bell. That way you know when I go live. And good Lord, this chain. Congrats to Taylor Green. Congrats, Taylor Green. You got the Tusk Talk with Ty post-game gold chain. There you go. There you go, Green. That's all you. Congrats, my man. Hogs win 58-25. I will see you guys next week. Let's put it into that poll. Boom. There it is. All right. You guys be good. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.